Um, tonight's translator is going to have a little bit of a different feel to it, as Jim and I will give each other names in the sports world, but it's not going to be its usual try to make the other one either laugh and or cringe when we talk about it. So I have opened the translator other than the Sonika Wallace episode, the initial translator. And, we said a lot in the first half of the show about this man, but Jim, the first name I'm going to give you is our dear friend, Mr. Jim Donovan.
What more can we say that hasn't already been said? Cotton may be the fabric of our lives. Jim Donovan was the voice of it, at least for mine. Gone way too soon. Will be missed forever. Got to call a playoff game. Got to call a playoff victory. Got to call several playoff wins. Several playoff games, I should say. Cheryl and Megan, you had it good, man.
For me, bud.
Michael, your first name in the Wisey translator tonight. I want to see your side of this here. Jim's co-host for a number of years, Mr. Doug Dieken.
Oh. I've been very blessed in my sports watching and listening over my lifetime where former players have gone into the booth. None better than Doug Dieken. Doug was the perfect monotone, even-keeled foil to Jim's excitement. I liken it to the crazy comic and the straight man. Obviously, with location, I didn't hear as much of Doug as I would have liked to. But I don't know if you've had a more perfect radio booth since Tom Hamilton and Herb Score. And I mean perfect radio booth. Doug Dieken wore the colors. Jim Donovan bled the colors. So, Jim, I'm going to take you in a different direction. Well, in kind of the same direction. And your second name in the Wisey translator tonight is Jim's successor, Andrew Siciliano.
He gets better and better every week. And see, the one thing that we didn't bring up with Jim, and I wish I had mentioned this in the very first segment, is Jim was supposed to be on radio after he had retired from WKYC a couple of years ago. Andrew's been doing this for a long time. So for him transitioning from a TV analyst to a play-by-play guy, there's going to be a little bit of growing pains, but they could not have gotten a better guy because, number one, he's been a Browns fan really all of his life. Every year for the holidays, he's in town. His Uncle Bob lives in Lyndhurst. I actually heard it on the radio yesterday driving around, or Friday on the way home. And if you're going to have a franchise rebuilding, essentially, what better way to grow together than actually your legacy announcer, unfortunately, having to step away even before the tragedy of a week ago, and bringing in who a lot of people we thought was going to be Jimmy's successor, and have him just kind of come up with this franchise in his late 40s.
It's a great pick. It really is a great pick.
Michael, your second and final name in the Wisey translator, and I'm not doing this on purpose because you always lay out with me You always go first. You are certainly not the Batman to my Robin here. I'm not. I'm not. You know, your sidekick here. But I gave you Doug Dieken, and now let's talk about
Nathan.
Zegura.
Boy, that motherfucker's tall
And jacked.
and jacked. But let me say this. Going from the sideline guy to the booth, I've never heard a more flawless transition. He is awesome. And again, the thing that I love about the teams that I follow is that the Mets and the Browns have fans in the booth. They don't just have reporters or analysts or play-by-play announcers. They have fans in the booth. So, and Nathan Zegura to take the baton from Doug Dieken, to have worked with Jim for that season, and then now I think him and Andrew will be one of the top 4 or 5 booths in the NFL. It's a perfect setup. It is. I don't know how much better you get, because Nathan is the anti-Doug Dieken. He is very excitable. You see it in the video from the booth. He's crazed. Andrew is far more reserved than Jim was.
Although he does jump around just as much as Jimmy did.
He does jump around, but that's more about style. When I say he's more reserved, like Jim was, just the calls of the big plays were just so hammered, and things like Run William Run and Chubba Wub Hub, and he's running to the river. I expect to hear that more out of Nathan than I do out of Andrew.